streaming to make sure that the updated titles actually worked. Do that. There's the Twitter announcement, just so it's easy, so you guys have the links. Oh, that's right. You also need the camera link.
Yeah, the Ninja OBS.
I'm great at this. Don't worry. I'm a professional.
I was about to message you before I started driving back. They'll be like, just send me the Ninja code so I can just like get in and just turn everything on. I know what I'm doing.
There you go.
Because that would never go wrong. All right, so we just click the link and we're in.
Yeah, we'll have it. You're gonna have to shut off your. Well, I don't know if your camera can do multiple streams. Most cameras can't do multiple streams. Don't do audio on VOD, and yes, camera.
Yeah, no audio, just your camera.
All right, I'm gonna turn my camera off here then.
So apparently, the original Kickstarter video with the Bengal flying around used a soundtrack.
Hey, just a heads up, it sounds like we're going through on the stream.
We are, yes.
Oh.
That way they can know that it's actually live. So we'll be quiet, and right before we start, hold on.
Yes.
Oh, you went really robot-y. I think that was you.
Mm-hmm.
No, I need to save that. Dismiss, edit.
This.
Good. Oh, is this that? No, don't do that. Do that. All the things. Why would it? Oh. That's fun. Do.
My audio. My video looks terrible.
That's because you have a scaled down preview.
Oh, okay.
You're good. You're good. Is Twitch working? Put that out. Good. Is YouTube working? Yes. All right, now I can mute the things. Well, let me get a quick sound off from everyone. Nick, audio test.
This is the sound of my voice. How are my levels? Are they good? Are they bad? Let me know.
Hold on.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
Space Tomato.
Testing. Hello. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Cool. Thank you.
I can't count that high.
I just learned today.
There we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fourth. That's what I put on the thing. Fourth episode of the Content Creators Roundtable. We talk about basically anything we want to and local news. Local news? Star Citizen news.
Local? How local is that? That's
Well,
a whole
local to
galaxy.
Star
All of our
Citizen.
different local places.
Well, if we take temporal news into this, then it's quite local. In the stream of time. Anyway, we have many a stream guest as always. We have tonight with us Space Tomato. Say hi.
Hello, hi.
We
It's
have
me.
hey, it's Nick.
Hey, it's Nick.
We
That
have
works out well.
Hope on Watchborn.
Salutations.
So, as we are to do with these, with the Content Creators Roundtable, I like to make sure I have a good spread of people who's been here a while and people who are quite new to Star Citizen. So Hoban gets to fill that chair for us tonight. He is relatively new to the game, though being in the Nova Forge org, he seems to be just absolutely digging through Star Citizen content and news. So though he is less than a year old, he knows quite a bit about Star Citizen. So we're gonna give each of
This many.
this minute, yes, we're gonna give each of these creators. There we go. Fun time to plug all their stuff. So we'll start in reverse order. Hoban, do you do anything content creating making?
I do, but very little. It'd be at Washborn on pretty much YouTube and in the verse.
Yes. So for those who don't know, I'm trying to get everyone in the NoForge org through here, so they can stop asking me about it. And so Hoban is the COO of NoForge Industries. We are a industry focused org, and we basically just want to be the best industry around, and we are the best co-op in the verse. Nick, where can they find you?
They can find me at twitch.tv/Hey It's Nick, as well as on YouTube, Hey It's Nick. I go into kind of development coding things and numbers with some videos and actually see what things could be like if we change some things around with the current thing. Haven't done it in a while, but I am picking it up again. I personally went into shield numbers and how shields would behave differently if we just changed some variables, and it's really interesting to dive into that kind of theory crafting side of things with actual visualizations on how it could actually work. But yeah, you can mostly find me on twitch.tv. Hey, it's Nick now. Currently playing through New World.
Neat. And Space Tomato.
Hello. I make YouTube videos for Star Citizen, and I stream Space Tomato Gaming on Twitch and just Space Tomato on YouTube. I have a second channel, Space Tomato 2, where I do more long form stuff like podcasts and stuff, but mostly I like to do videos talking about like the features and development of Star Citizen, and I try to hit some other games when they interest me. I'm currently kind of covering Starfield, but I'm bouncing in and out of it. It's a busy time for Star Citizen, so I can't do as much as I want to, but hopefully the Star Wars game next year as well is something I can put at least a couple videos out on.
Yeah, Starfield was like, oh, hey, we all have a chance to do something other than Star Citizen. Star Citizen like, you will not. By the way, here's some content that people are going to go nuts about. Just like, but we had a game to play. We were just going to wait till CitizenCon. You were supposed to be
The drought ended abruptly.
I'm glad.
I enjoy Starfield as like a second sort of like, I don't have any other games that I play regularly. I would say Halo maybe I'll dip into, but like as far as space games go, I needed something else, especially a single player game. Starfield's nice.
You're saying, Nick?
I'm glad I binged Starfield like within a few days. So like I just binged it, and so then when CIG was like, "Hey, updates," I was like, "I'm ready."
I haven't done any story mission past the first time you meet Vlad. That's what I'm stuck at. I'm like, cool, I can sell the because I went and surveyed the entire Sol system, and I needed to get to Vlad to be able to sell it to him, and I haven't done anything since because I've been super busy doing Star Citizen and other things, and I'm just dying to play more Star Citizen. Just don't have time.
whatever you want to play.
I-
That's man. Going up to the release of that game, it was like, everybody just play whatever it is that you want to play.
Yeah.
Stop
It's
trying to
it's a
convince
this
everyone
killer.
what's
It's going to
not
be
gonna
the
be
best
bad.
game in the world, though. Todd Howard said.
Oh.
Todd Howard said a lot of things.
It just works.
He does talk a lot.
It's
It's
kind
funny
of
because
his
Todd
job.
Howard and Chris Roberts, they
Yeah,
cut from the same cloth.
very
Yeah,
much
but-
so.
Todd, Todd has actually released a game in the last 10 years.
Ooh,
That is
burn.
that is a bit.
No, wait.
Oh,
Hyper
yeah, well,
Vanguard
Chris
Force.
released a
Hyper
movie.
Vanguard Force.
That was made by
Yeah,
a
it's,
single dev out of a.
I mean, there's like a series of.
So
of-
was the PTV racetrack.
fair.
Everything's built by a single dev until it doesn't. So we have many topics to get through, ranging from all the content that Star Citizen regularly puts out, plus all the monthly stuff, and then at the end we'll be going through. Well, not the end. The second half of the show we'll be going through CitizenCon predictions, hopes, and concerns. That's the juicy part. The reason we have a second number on these episodes. This is 3 of 4. So this week in Star Citizen, we got a patch 3.21. So I just wanted to kind of leave the question open. What do you guys think about that? So we'll go back around the other way. Space Tomato, what are your thoughts on us randomly getting 3.21?
I was away when they did all of this stuff, like that. Chris Roberts saying something on Spectrum, the jump points being found, like all that stuff happened while I was gone, and I came back all at once. It's just like, okay, so the drought's over. That's good. That's nice. So I think the best part about 3.21 is just the news about the replication layer and the fact that they're doing it because, there's actually something happening. We were like in the dark for a solid 5 or 6 months there, not really knowing what was going on with server meshing, and this is finally another step forward in that. So I think I could care less about everything else in 321. I'm glad that we're getting more content. I like ships and features and stuff, yay, but we are already going to get 3.20.1. Significance of this is what's coming next, the PTU layer.
The replication layer.
in the
Replication
PTU,
layer
yeah.
splits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick, what do you think about 3.21?
I'm kind of indifferent to it. I mean, if they kept it 3.20.1 or 3, I think it would stay the same. I think it really wasn't necessary to change the decimal for that. I think they could have just kept the decimal there and it would have been completely the same. But I am interested with the replication layer split. I think that's going to be the next big step on because once that replication layer splits, that's when the game server and clients are really separated out, and the game servers can just swap in and out on the back end without really affecting the clients. And so I am really excited for that because I personally had a conversation with Benoit at a Montreal Bar Citizen. Not last year, not this past Montreal Bar Citizen for the World Tour, but the last year's ones. And I had a really good conversation with Benoit in person on it. And yeah, so it's interesting now to see what we discussed at that Bar Citizen face to face, and with what's now being implemented. It's just everything's falling into place from that conversation. So it's nice.
Nice.
So I'm intrigued. I think it is a good idea though to have it in PTU for this whole duration, have a long period of testing and implement the tech as it's needed. And I'm very glad they're finally doing a testing cycle like this. So I think it's good. I think it's really good that they're doing it like this. But I just think 320.1, it doesn't faze me at all. Really,
Not one
me,
to
it's no
be
different.
Not one to get hung up on the patch version numbers.
No, I'm not. It's just a patch. They could call it ABCD tomorrow, and it would be no different to me.
Fair.
Get confusing.
Hold on. What do you
Wait,
think?
what?
I'm also excited. I think that obviously when they were developing this code base, before the replication layer split, something happened. I don't think, maybe it was planned the whole time, but I think they got to a point of like, no, we actually need to change the number because, I mean, with any type of versioning with the codes, 320, 321, basically this means that from a base level, this is no longer compatible with the previous code that the game was running. So I think that's going to have a lot more repercussions than they even think, kind of like we did with the jump from 317 to 318. I know they're focusing more on stability, but I think we're going to see a lot more butterfly effect once this hits live. But I'm definitely excited for what it means, and nobody's mentioned it so far, so I'm super excited looking at the patch notes. Players to sell things owned by members of their party. Like, that's like, org play has always been one of my big things that I really want, and we're just a little bit closer, and I'm happy about that for sure. I can't wait for it to hit live. Try it out.
Yeah. And since we're started off with this, and I'll give my final comments on 3.21. And I kind of want to do this PSA because I keep seeing it, and some Redditors decided to swear up and down no one thought this patch meant pyro, and I keep seeing them constantly. Everyone's like, oh, they added the pyro jump point, so obviously this is the pyro patch. It's not the pyro patch, guys, and pyro's not the next patch. It's not there.
This is the red carpet to 4.0.
Yes,
that's what it is.
We have finally caught up to ISC. This is finally the road to 4.0.
This might be the advanced showing. A couple weeks before the red carpet rollout, we might need it early.
This is the van they bought to put the red carpet in to get to the red carpet. Yeah.
We're still at the hotel being picked up. That's what it.
Yeah,
but the van's here and we're getting in and going.
Yeah. So to give a quick rundown on what the tech's actually doing for the viewers and or listeners. So 3.21 is going to come out like any other patch. Nothing interesting. There's a couple of new stations, new stuff to do. The economy team fit in the new jump point stations to do Hull C stuff with, and they are fantastic. But it's basically no different. It is just some more code was added. The big difference comes when they release 321, they will open a new testing channel with the replication layer split, but it's basically the exact same version otherwise. And they will hold a testing channel open until they are done finalizing the replication layer split, and then they'll merge that back into 3.21 and repeat for every tech addition they need till server meshing. So nothing changes, like it's just a normal content patch otherwise. So the RL split and road to 4.0. We touched a bit about this in our kind of what we think about 3.21. And I had alluded to that we're catching up to ISC. I don't know about any of you, but the road to 4.0 is kind of that bitter taste. So, Hobad, how do you feel about them continuing this road to 4.0, possibly even in CitizenCon?
I mean, this has been coming. Road to 4.0 has been how long? How many years have we been hearing road to 4.0?
I think this is at least year 2. Yeah.
We've come over the mountain pass, and now we can see the lights in the far distance. And I don't think that it's imminent, but it's definitely getting closer. And again, I'm excited for it. I'm just making sure I don't lose my patience. I'm trying to patience. It's coming. It's gonna be a while, but it's coming.
You've only been here a year. You have a lot more to learn about patience.
Yeah, exactly.
I was there when it was forged. Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you think 4.0 is going to hit?
Yeah. I'll be surprised if it's the end of next year. I think there's a chance it'll come next year, but I think it'll be Q4 next year.
say my bet's on Q3. Nick, what do you feel about this road to 4.0 lasting 2 years?
I think the road to 4.0 needs to end. I think we're near the end, and I think CitizenCon, we just need to be like, we're here. Yay. Moving on. And then maybe show like, a roadmap for what systems are going to be coming after Pyro.
That would be fantastic.
Let's talk about the systems after Pyro. Let's start thinking about what's next instead of just thinking about Pyro. Like we got the Magnus jump point, we got the Terra jump point. I like. Let's start talking about these other systems, please. Nyx, maybe just anything else right now other than Pyro. Let's just say, here's Pyro. We're here. Yay. Moving on now. That's all I want. I'm so done. I want off the ride. I want to just pull over to the side. I need to stretch my legs. I'm just so over this.
The Road 4.0, more like the longest roller coaster in Roller Coaster Tycoon. That takes like 27 trillion years to finish. Tomato, what do you think of this Road to 4.0 lasting 2 years?
I think it's better. The real problem is Road to Pyro, right? Because like Road to 4.0, they can just keep changing into whatever they want to change. But it's been kind of funny to see how all the other stuff that we were hoping to do that isn't in any way, at least not obviously dependent on 4.0 or server meshing, that we've been looking at for like such a long time. Like colonialism outposts were introduced, I think, in like 2020, in ISC 2020. Some of the other things that we've seen, like underground facilities or probably some of the other just points of interest that they've made, have been just held behind this wall of 4.0. And we know that they could have brought them into the game either way. And I think that's like in the most annoying part of it all. So it's nice to see it maybe possibly coming to an end next year. I think Evocati next summer would be reasonable, depending on how things go. I don't know what would happen in terms of live. Like, I don't know how long this is going to take once they get it into testing, but like, I think if we're seeing it in Evocati and in PTU, that on its own is like, that's a huge weight off everybody's chest. So it's like, okay, this thing's real.
So you think a 4.0 Evocati next summer?
Yeah, I think that's possible. I mean, I don't quote me on it, please. Somebody's gonna.
That's why we have you here, so we can have it documented and live forever on YouTube. Nick, I don't believe I actually got your prediction for 4.0.
Oh no, you didn't. My prediction for 4.0, I think it's still on track to be on PTU for March.
March of next year. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely feel what you were saying, Nick, about like you were just ready for it to be over.
Yeah.
Yes, that happens a lot in Star Citizen. Like they have such a wealth of things to show and to talk about, and like, no, you know what? We're gonna sneak peek the storm again, or we're gonna show you the Santucky Eye again, like.
This time closer.
Yep.
This time closer.
This time with textures. There's texture on this one.
Like, I love the Santucky Eye. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's a fighter. I don't do fighters. I do economy stuff. So like cargo haulers, like minivans, like give me those.
I was so excited for the Apollo gray box because it was something different. It was something different. It was like, finally.
I can't. I really
true.
hope.
That was a nice look.
I really hope that
And it's backlog.
Very much, yeah. Also getting stuff out of the backlog. I really like the new RSI look. So there's only like 2 ships, I think, that are the new RSI look, and that's the Mantis and the Apollo. No, I almost said Apoa. Apollo, sorry. And those are the only 2 with this new look. The Aurora and the Constellation are the old look, and this is like a lore thing.
And the Bengal.
The Bengal and the Polaris and Perseus are all the military look. So
Never met him.
Slightly
I feel like the
separate.
Bengal takes some of that old look that Constellation shape though, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, So the military look is a morphing of the old look and gray, I guess. And like it has like these different like
Color
call
gray.
outs. Yeah. Like you can really notice it with like looking at the Hammerhead and the Reclaimer. Like they don't really equal one another. That's the industrial Aegis and the military Aegis. They're not really the same company look. So we have at least 3, and we may be getting an industrial RSI as well with the Orion and whatever the smaller mine ship is that's bigger than the Mole. But this new RSI look with the Apollo and the not Merlin. What did I just say? Mantis. I have the flippin' shirt, and I can't remember its name. But I want to
That's
see
okay.
more ships in this new style because 1, new ships from RSI is always good, and 2, it's this sleek, angular ships.
It's the Star Trek of Star Citizen, that style.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Apollo to me just screamed Star Trek. It just screamed, "This is from Star Trek." When I looked at the Apollo,
It's got the nacelles.
Yeah, it's got the nacelles. So we just need like lights going down the end of this nacelles, just for a call out.
Mhm.
All right. So has anyone been able to find anything interesting in the monthly reports? Because oh boy, have they been packed with stuff.
I actually haven't gone through them yet.
I've
been
only just
so
cracked them
busy.
open. It's fine. I'm supposed
I have it opened up right here. I can.
So the
Yeah,
one,
you
like
have
the
to
2
jog
things
my
I
memory, there's
found,
been-
the
there's been a
2
lot of-
things I found were, well, 1, the economy thing was really really big. 2, the very nice outpost for the header and the medical box. I know it was just an image, but the medical box where it has like 4 pens and a drawer for the med gun and like 5 refills for it. Just a med kit.
Oh yeah,
thing.
actually-
under interactables. Yeah, I see it now.
I'm interested in discussing that. What do you think would be the context for that being used? Because I was trying to figure out what that might be.
So currently, I would
Thinking the same
assume.
thing.
I would assume that currently the game. Well, 1, they've already said the game's gonna get way harder. Like this is not the game we're supposed to be playing. It's gonna get way harder. Like the team said for Cargo, they want to add friction to make it more tangible, and everyone throwing on a heavy suit and being able to equip literally everything they could ever need at fingers reach is kind of nonsensical as far as the game goes. Like you're just prepared for everything, and like they've been saying with the ships, they don't want you to be prepared for everything. They want you to have to make the decisions before you go out. So being able to have a med box and put it in like the first aid square that shows up on a lot of ships, like even the trams in New Babbage have a little first aid box.
Yeah, I was gonna say this box looks like it is supposed to be that like in-game on the wall med kit that you just it's like there's a medical emergency, run over and grab it. Like it
Right,
looks
so-
exactly like that.
So it seems like this is a less of a carryable and more of something that actually just stays in place, right?
Yeah.
Because I was kind of trying to figure out this wouldn't be a deployable in the field. There's not enough med pens for that. Why would you deploy a medical tool? And this isn't like a backpack or anything like that. So you think this would have to be in a ship?
Yeah, it's like go get the first aid
Yeah.
kit kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of the little interactables that they've been making are they've been talking about quite a bit lately, but how they want everything physicalized. I think the number of interactables they've been making lends itself to that idea that everything's going to have to be in a spot. Like you can't just grab your inventory out of your home base and then take off. You're going to have loaded your ships because it's going to take hours to load things into every crevice of your ship, which is, I think that's where this fits in. It's ready to go. You just place it and you're done versus, oh, let me get my load out. You put all your armor on every time you jump in the game. I think that's eventually going to go away. You're going to want to have everything ready to go.
Yeah, and then when you use it, you get to refill it, and it will take some time and inventory management. It adds more maintenance to your inventory instead of just having everything there.
It'd be interesting to see what CIG does to make us want to use that more than just throwing it all in a backpack.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
maybe they might make things fragile in a backpack, like all the medical stuff. So it'd be like it's fragile. If it takes too much G's in a backpack, then those items break.
Well, that's why I was saying it doesn't make sense as something that you would deploy or take out in the field, because not only do you already have your backpack, this thing's carrying more refillables for the medical tool than it's carrying medipens, and like those refillables last a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
So I would much rather have those be med pens if this was like a backpack or something.
well, you can do.
Yeah.
Can't you still revive with the med gun anyway? What point would you use a med pen over a gun if you have so much gel?
Well, you use more med pens. That's just my thinking. So
yourself.
you would use one med gun for 8 med pens, perhaps, in a typical outing.
Yep.
Yeah. Not to mention, in my experience, usually med pens are, if you're healing yourself, that's your first step. And you're only using the med gun if you have a quiet moment.
So yeah,
Unless you're trying to heal somebody else. Then generally the med gun is more versatile.
I always go for.
It seems like it's more of a team play type item.
That
Fair.
also makes a good point that it does take up a utility slot. So you can't have another tractor beam or
Another
I believe
tractor
it's
beam?
a knife.
Oh, that's
tractor
right, a
beam or
knife. Yeah.
Yeah, a knife. It takes up a knife slot. So,
I-
if you already have a tractor beam or any sort of other tool and a knife,
Yeah, I mean,
you
we've
know,
got
then you can't. Then you gotta like. Then it's just like, well, maybe I don't. I'm trying to find ways to think that this is useful, and I'm just.
yeah, the game this is made for, we don't even know about.
Yeah.
Right? Like
This is
it's
true.
just like
amount of
they're planning for
other-
another game.
Do they
that-
know?
Also,
at least, well,
looking
hope.
at the image,
I hope they know, but I don't know if they know.
the
Yeah.
med pens might be dispenser bits, so there might be like a spring loader like clip underneath. So there could be like
Oh, so
8 of
they
them
could
in
be
there.
holding more.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's maybe like a bunch underneath.
Yeah.
I
That
would see that.
change everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And you could,
it's just a picture in a monthly report. It's hard to know, but it is a cool
Yeah.
prop. It looks nice.
For
a
sure.
cool
I wonder
prop
if it's
and-
functional.
yeah,
It's the
it's
interactables team. They don't
interactables.
do not
Yeah,
functional.
It's
Oh,
under
okay.
interactables. So the one thing I just look forward to seeing it in and around ships. I think that would add a lot of little, just details and things to the game where it's just like, we got a med kit, we're good, or you go to the med kit and it's empty and you're like, well, we're screwed.
We're in the middle of Pyro. What the heck are we going to do here? It's like we
I am
could go to
curious
Ruin.
if-
You don't want to go to Ruin.
Yeah, I'm curious if, like Tomato was saying, these are like on the wall in places. Like, what's stopping players from just raiding them? And
Well, currently nothing.
because that happens in other games.
Well,
I mean, I guess if it's on your
Like, if
ship,
it's-
then
They'll be
the
trespassing.
fact that you're friends.
so we can actually bring
Take all
Starfield
my
into this.
stuff, please.
We can actually bring Starfield into this pretty easily because you buy a ship or buy a you buy a ship and the little way you get on the little ramp into your ship always has a med kit right there. And
Yeah.
I don't know about anyone else, but the first thing I do is take the med stuff out and just like hoard it. Like go put it
Yeah,
in the
that's
main
true.
inventory.
Yeah,
I
it's
loot all the
easy
med
loot.
stuff.
Yeah, and it's satisfying to loot stuff. So it's like, hey, that's kind of useful. I'll take that.
But also to stop people from raiding literally the entire landing zone of all of its things, because these things are placed all around landing zones. Either one, lock them. That's a simple solution. But two, a much better solution, make stealing a thing and make the game respond like, hey, you're stealing from, Microtech or whatever. And then you have a
Yeah,
crime stat
that's-
or have like that happen.
Saying to lock them though is a whole can of worms in game dev of like, how do you lock them? How do you want the lock to work? Do you want a
Hacking.
key? Do you want a keypad? Do you?
Oh,
want-
no.
It's
Should
so
have made
many
the
different
interactable. Just get the
ways.
interactable out of the game. We don't want it anymore.
Oh my gosh.
Who can unlock it?
That's like
How long is it
security.
unlocked for?
Security tier 2 and hacking are like those like tantalizing things beyond 4.0 that I'm really excited to see, because like it lets them build a game that not everyone can get to, and it starts letting the game be a more personalized experience on who can get where. Like if you're like really in with Orison, maybe there's some Orison platforms that you can go to that not everyone can because you're doing jobs for them. So if somebody's just on a whim, they can't explore the entire thing. Forgot to turn those off. Thank you for the space.
Super excited for rep.
Yeah.
Reputation.
I think everyone is, and the like even like a lot of the devs are like, yeah, we want to do this and that. We want to like do this, and the alert team's like, yeah, so you can do this, and these people will respond this way. It's like, where is it?
Yeah, please.
But I feel like the one I've been taking a long, pretty hiatus from Star Citizen. From actually playing it and spending time with it, but I feel like the one sort of thing I feel like I'm waiting for, like I keep thinking of like, is it the economy? No, but then I keep going down these strange thoughts of like, well, which game loop is it? And to me, it's not actually a single game loop. To me, it's the dynamic mission system that ties in with the quanta and the procedural missions and the dynamic missions tied in through your reputational. Like, that's what I feel like I'm really waiting for to really pull me in.
So you should want
I feel
1.0.
The game.
If it takes till 1.0 for that to come in, then yes, that's what I'm waiting for.
So
Really,
every
to
time
dive
the mission feature guys build a new mission, when they say a new mission, it's not a new mission. It's underlying tech that they threw together to make whatever mission type they actually made. So like with the heist one, with the heist mission, it's timers and things overloading and consequences over time. And they just built a weird mission on top of it. And it's not till they get to a point where they have enough modules can we actually get this version 1 of the dynamic mission system along with Quanta. So we still need that too.
There's so many prerequisites for it.
Yeah, it's this giant thing, and instead of the way we're getting all these other deliverables with, hey, we're gonna go away and work on this, and we'll be back when we have version 1. We're just getting these like, and eventually they'll pull them together with the dynamic mission system. It's just a really weird way of going about it. Because like, what was it, 2 years ago? To CitizenCon, like, hey, this is the dynamic mission system, and it does all these things. Nothing sense.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing.
Oh man,
Love that.
So a little further down in the monthly report, we have these gorgeous shots of the landing zone exterior, and I was shocked by the amount of outside stuff. Like we knew there was going to be like these like long pipes and hangars, but there's, I want to say roads, but people go weird when you say roads in Star Citizen. So I'm going to say drivable areas and parking spots. And everything's like kind of built up on this nice platform and, you know, cargo boxes. What do you guys think of these exterior shots that they're, I think, working through white box? Is this white box or is this gray box now?
No, they've got to be past white box.
This has to be gray box. The texture details are like on point for it being gray box. Not final art, but definitely gray box.
Yeah, that would make sense because the first time we
white
saw
box
it,
a long time ago.
that was a sneak peek.
ISC.
And even their white box when they showed it off was they were using.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we spent an afternoon working on this. It's you know, it's rough. Just like, I'll take that.
Yeah, it's like, just give us that. It's like they use so many, but because they use so many assets that are already made and finished to kind of like white box it. That's why they had textures and it looked so finished.
Yeah,
Same thing happened with the Lorville rework. They were using so many just like finished assets from elsewhere that made it look like it was like way further than white box or gray box.
And then we heard about it for the next 6 months. It's just like, guys, it's been done for like 6 months. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool that they have so much stuff, and that's the same. It's the same reason that the original or the ship shape with the Genesis Starline looks so bad, because they were like, "Hey, we'll just use assets," and it just looks like those are sim pods. No, these are luxury seats. These are the luxury rooms. Those are military bunks. It's like, because they were using assets that they already had just to kind of like block out what they thought was going to be the interior. And now they have 10 more years, well, not since the Genesis Starline, but they have, 10 plus years of quality assets. They can just like, does this work? Yeah. And just be able to continue with it. So it's super cool. All right, so the sprint report. We had mentioned the ISC sprint report with the Santucky Eye. What did you guys think? I think I definitely do like sprint reports. I think are my favorite. I think sprint reports and not mission brief. The what did they just do with the cargo episodes? What do they call them? Where they show
Oh,
off.
I already forget what they called them.
Design brief. Design brief is what they
Oh.
did. Design brief.
Oh yeah, design brief. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
So, Tomato, what do you think of the ISC sprint report? Anything interesting?
I think I was actually surprised to see that they're doing work on the Hawk. That did catch me off guard. It tracks with their bounty hunting stuff going on, but I didn't expect it. I thought, yeah, actually, this was a pretty nice sprint report. So it told us that the Hawk was a ship that suffers again from the same problem most of these ships suffer from. They designed it before the gameplay. Now the gameplay is ready, so now they're redesigning it to match it. I like that we get to see that that's happening. That means that this stuff is coming pretty soon. Bounty hunting rework stuff is like, maybe that's something we'll see at CitizenCon.
Yeah, I almost guarantee that one. Bounty hunting,
Yeah.
like Chris, like had this entire like paragraph or two on bounty hunting in one of his 2 letters from the other year. It's like, if Chris is that into it, it's one of the things I'll be showing at CitizenCon.
And that's going to be, I mean, that's going to slap a lot of people in the face for how much it's going to change the way bounty hunting works in this game. Because right now, bounty hunting is like the default mission. Oh, yeah, you get into the Star Citizen, you want to make some money, have some fun, go take a couple bounties, you shoot some folks.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, okay, take some bounties, but like,
Now
be
you gotta
careful 'cause-
capture them.
yeah, don't take the ones where you have to track them into the city and use your taser and no, don't do
And
that.
like player bounties
like-
are gonna get so much worse.
Yeah.
Like it's
So
gonna be great.
That's like one of those little things you get from the sprint report that they didn't talk about, but you could see the signs of it happening.
Yeah,
The-
I think that's why Jared has like so much leeway on the sprint reports, is because he's just showing these like little clips of what they were able to show, not the ton of work that's been done everywhere else on the like features that this includes.
Yeah. It kind of sucks though. We've only had 2 this year because we usually get one maybe a month, maybe a quarter,
Yeah.
2 a quarter, one a month, something like that.
It was
This
definitely
time,
at least
this
one a
year-
quarter, I think, last year. It was
Yeah,
it
this
was
has
like
been-
feature, sprint report, feature, sprint report.
Yeah,
Yeah.
last year was great. A sprint report for each kind of like block that they set aside for inside Star Citizen.
Mhm.
There'd usually be a sprint report in there or near the end of it. This is to kind of go up, but this year, yeah, it's been pretty kind of lackluster with that.
Yeah. Y'all remember when like back when it was around the verse and every month we'd get like a studio update, so they would just be like a monthly report in video form.
Yeah, it was
Remember when, like,
good, but like
I remember when the
cringe.
studios were like in a competition for like their ship reveals, and they'd be like, and you'd be like, "These are the ships we've been working on, and here's the update on those." And then I remember Aaron Roberts did this big reveal one time, and it was just like, "Oh yeah, did I mention you also work on ships?" And then like the next half of the video was just like ship porn for the rest of the video, and everyone went crazy when that happened.
Well, that's kind of how this sprint report felt. This sprint report just felt like an update on ships they're working on, and I just did a show with Execute from Inforunners, and we went through it, and there's like 15 to 20 different ships being worked on right now. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, because they also
So-
showed the X1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have
Yeah.
like 4 to 6 ships that are unannounced currently being worked on. 2 of them we know what they
Hefty.
are, and 2 of them, according to what I see on the roadmap, are straight to flyable within the next 2 months.
Yeah, I see
I won't-
one or 2 for CitizenCon, and then IAE. Not too long after that, or in the anniversary. So there's so
Yeah.
many things within the next
Yeah.
few months.
The
There's so
SR,
many-
like in just by the time we get to IAE, we'll probably get the SRV, 2 new variants of a ship, likely the Cutter, the Spirit A1, the Spirit C1, the Santok Yai.
So those who
It's
don't
like
know, the
ships.
C1 is the C1's Hoban's like favorite ship. And so
6 ships.
it's so much fun
Yeah,
that
and that's not any of the unannounced ones either.
Yeah.
except,
Right.
well, except for the cutters that
Right.
you mentioned.
And
Yeah.
then they're also working on the G12 series, the Apollo, the Hawk, the Polaris, the Freelancer. Like, what the heck?
Polaris, I
Yeah.
wouldn't expect until next year, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a big
That's
boy.
not
I
even
heard
insane.
I heard one prediction Invictus next year. Because the
I
timeline
could see that.
fits. The
Invictus.
timeline
could
fits
see-
stupidly well, and I hate it. But I
could
can't wait.
see- I could see a release for Invictus. That sounds like the perfect time to
Exactly.
release it.
Like this is the mobile militia initiative ship. Like the military loves this as like we're empowering you, civilian.
Seems early. That'd be cool though.
No,
I would guess
Yeah.
IAE.
No,
next year.
they wouldn't be empowering civilians. They'd be empowering citizens. A clasher is when you're a civilian because then you went
Well,
to jail.
so civilians and citizens are okay. We're gonna have to go into this, are we? So the differences are not as big as they'd like them to be, I'm sure.
Well, you can't vote if you're a civilian.
Right. But it's not the Citizens Defense Force, is it? Isn't it the Civilian Defense Force?
Yeah.
So it is civilian.
It's a
Civilian
citizen
Defense
counts
Force.
as a civilian. A civilian's anybody who's not military, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the UEE is for the Invictus to prop up the UEE, which is
Well, Invictus is because they didn't have enough people to
But-
fight the Tavaran, so they said, "Hey, let's send out all of our troop transports and go like ransack everywhere to go get people to join the Navy." Like
maybe
send
they would
it
have been
everywhere.
enough if they let civilians vote.
And anyway,
Yeah.
there was a ship that I was going to talk about that I completely forgot. Now that we're on to like the difference between citizen and civilian. Oh, the RSI miner. And we were talking. I forget if this was this is my third podcast in 2 days, so forgive me. I don't remember what we were talking about when. I don't know if it was on the Pathfinders or the table, Captain's table last night.
We did 2 in a row yesterday. That was insane.
Yeah, that's why that was my last night. But the IE, there we go. There's the thought. I found it, guys. IE likes to like lead the Jackson McCleary videos with a key ship, and it's probably not gonna be the cutter because we already have the cutter. It's probably not gonna be the Santucky Eye because it's a POA. It's not a human ship, and he's in Pyro. So Apoa being the star child of the IE would be weird and very controversial in lore. And an Apoa ship getting to Pyro would also be weird because it's sold by the Xi'an and they want nothing to do with mostly nothing to do with human bad people, mostly. So it would make sense to me, at least, that he would be in the concept of the RSI mining ship. Again, very tinfoil hat because like we don't know what the unannounced stuff is. But it was supposed to get more information this year, and we've got nothing yet.
We'll see.
You mean
What if he's in the Zeus?
the Zeus 2?
Oh yeah, what if he just refits the Zeus and is just like, hey, we scrounged around enough to get this old classic working.
I would not be upset at all. They did just release the well, not just release. They did release the Zeus spacesuits, so those are really cool as well. And more RSI is better RSI. I love RSI. My eye itches so darn much.
Yeah, I feel like we're lacking in a few alien ships and RSI. I feel like RSI could be more fleshed out with more ships.
Yeah.
They are the oldest company.
Yeah.
They deserve them.
Yeah.
Like RSI should get Aegis big.
Mhm.
That's my opinion.
But I imagine we also have the squadron, which is like all the military ships from RSI. So like, yeah, and
I
we're
think-
gonna get 3 over the next 3 years. I don't know if it'll take that long, but we have the Polaris, Perseus, and Galaxy, one after the other. So it'll get there. It's getting better. It's getting better.
Hey, you know what else? You were talking about monthly reports. You know what else was something that kind of snuck by in the monthly report?
What?
That I think is really nice kind of quality of life change is they mentioned briefly in Inside Star Citizen recently they're taking away inventories. This is like something that we knew, like
Mm-hmm.
that whole out of your body use this menu inventory was something that was going to go away. But they also mentioned in monthly reports recently that they're keeping a first person solution for looting and using like usables like guns and ammo and stuff like that. I thought that was a really nice thing that was in there that they haven't talked about ever before besides that.
Yeah, I think also because of the portion of Alpha we're in, we're gonna have different teams that have different authorities over different parts of the game, ownership of different products, uh, doing things that don't exactly mesh with each other. So we have like teams like saying we want like this super hardcore, take away all the inventories, put them in separate boxes. We also have like, but we want the FPS to be good, so we're going to give all the keybinds and things to do everything instantly because it's a good FPS game. And like Starfield did, they said this very loud at the end of their marketing is there was about 6 months before the game went live where it was like, okay, we have all the parts, now we need to like make them work together. And I imagine we're going to get to that point where there's a lot of parts in the game and not all of them make a whole bunch of sense together. And then we'll go through a harmonization phase where everything kind of gets pushed around to where like stuff gets easier in some ways and harder in others.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely like, I like the inventory because I like not having a magical box of holding just everywhere. I like the freight elevators. I can't wait to load my own ship. Cargo is my game loop. But I also
I was nervous about the cargo elevators when I seen those coming. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be very tedious. But then like the newest Inside Star Citizen with the sprint report where they showed how well they're working on making the snapping grids work much more easier and much more intuitive in a much more friendlier way. I was like, okay, I'm okay with this now. That feels much better. If it's going to snap that easily around, I'm not going to have to it's not going to be fiddly and difficult to work with and give unnecessary friction, then I think it's going to, I'm actually very okay with the freight elevators and loading you up your own ship if it's going to operate like that.
Yeah.
A lot of polish needs to come in.
I mean,
yeah, especially with the tractor beam technology.
Give us two-handed tractor beams.
I mean, yeah, they have teased that a while ago, but
Years.
I think just the way that tractor beams function needs to change because I don't know how often you guys do this, but when you're trying to move things any amount of distance, you're kind of standing in between 2 points and you're grabbing it and swinging it around, or you're pulling it towards you and then swinging it around and then pushing it. And that whole process is so tedious and cumbersome just due to the nature of being first person.
So what would you have them do?
I think what needs to happen is just the handling needs to be much more improved. But also, I think some of that pain is going to be resolved with ship tractor beams. Just having a stationary point that has a lot more oomph to it. But also hand tractor beams, even before they upped the capacity, just that whole swinging around, especially if you're ever in space trying to move cargo and put it on your ship, like unless you're just doing in and out, like the swinging is very like I'm about to kill somebody.
I have.
Like
I have too.
Yeah.
But yep, it's
not because like malice, but because like tractor beams and boxes and.
No, I've killed people in stations with benches. So
I forgot the benches were mobile at one point
on accident.
an accident.
Yeah. So I don't know where that balance is, but right now it's just very cumbersome.
I think
that's going to need a fundamental change to be good.
I think that would be a great way to make a more modular tractor beam. Maybe this is the industrial beam, maybe it's not. Or maybe it's part of the sub-items for the tractor beam ship components. And that's, do you want power, force, or manipulation? Manipulation gives you like swift side-to-side movements. Power gives you pushing. And then force gives you just lifting power. I think that'd be a really good idea, especially like for the industrial handheld tractor beam and the ship components. So yeah, no, good ideas. Good ideas. We had an hour yet? No, we have one. We have like It's 50 seconds.
1
I
minute.
was trying to like
Yeah.
split it up
But-
decently. So in 2
Yeah.
weeks, I'm just going to fill it in with filler. In 2 weeks, we have CitizenCon, the first in 4 years, the first 2-day event, the first 2023 event of CitizenCon, the first event post Star Citizen being 11 years old. I'm just trying to make it first. Anyway, we have a lot of hopes, dreams, concerns, and not a lot of actual data for what CitizenCon is going to be. Like they've said
Yeah.
almost nothing.
We
And
still don't even have a schedule for the panels.
I was gonna
and it's
say
2 weeks away.
yeah. So I'm gonna say this again at the end, but I'm planning a 48-hour stream for CitizenCon. I'm gonna start about an hour before CitizenCon presentation starts, so we can the 3 hosts can get settled in. Me and the 2 other hosts, and we're going to be doing a lot of chatting. We're going to be calling people on the floor. Tamara, I think you said that you want to try and see if you could get called in when you're there between panels.
I will see Mrs. Tomato is handling all that stuff.
Great. We
She's
also
scheduling
have
for me, yeah.
Tree, Paul, Buster. I got to get people to actually like do some stuff. And so we'll be talking with people on the ground. We'll be interviewing and talking with people that couldn't make it out. And we'll be going all 48 hours. There will be sleep. We're doing this smartly. Don't worry. But the whole thing, we're going to do the whole thing all in one go. So that's going to be interesting. But we have no schedule. So we can't schedule anything. I have no idea when I'm going to be able to sleep because I don't know when they wrap up for the day.
Yeah, so that was I am now the new organizer for Toronto Bar Citizen. So I was organizing the Toronto Bar Citizen for CitizenCon, and we're aiming to get it on the 21st. But then it's just like it's 2 weeks. It was like almost like just under a month away, and it was just like we still don't have a schedule. We don't know anything. So we
And
just
now we're in
we
2
just got-
weeks.
we and like we got like a month, and we need people to know where this event is and everything, and where to go in Toronto for it. And so it's just like, well, if we know the LA after party at the studio is happening at this time, so if they have like 2 hours from the end of the panel to travel over to the LA studios for the after party, then we could probably look at it finishing up and wrapping up around this time, Eastern Standard Time. And then we're like, oh, that's going to be late. Even if it's like a 2-hour window, that's going to be late. So we're just like, okay, let's just move Toronto Bar Citizen to the next weekend, and we'll just enjoy watching it, and then we'll go discuss it the next weekend. So
Yeah,
the Toronto Bar
that's
Citizen is the weekend after.
That will
just
be a great event.
Just because the panels are still no schedule.
Yeah, it gives like that like time to rewatch the stuff that you may have missed or like need to watch again because Tony Z, and also that what sticks in your head. So like when you watch a movie and then go away, what's like the emotion, and then you can decide what the movie was it good or bad. And a lot of people will watch CitizenCon, get really hyped, but then a week later they'll only have these like key features they'll remember.
Yeah, and also another thing to do is because it's a 2-day event, if you host an event on, say, the Saturday, but because we don't have a panel, what if the keynote from Chris Roberts is on the Sunday at the close? Right? So it's just like you're kind of throwing a gamble on what you're going to be seeing and everything when you're kind of setting up these events. So it's just like, yeah, I think CIG is kind of like either, as your chat said, either they're very secretive or they're very last minute right now.
They're still nailing stuff down.
Last year, so this is something Board Gamer went over yesterday. His video going over the schedule was 9 days before CitizenCon last year. And if you know Board Gamer, it's probably a day or two max after the schedule came out. So they are at least consistent with being late with this schedule.
Yeah,
But,
I think I did ping Jake, and they said that they were still working on making sure stuff was going to fit where it needed to fit. So, and that was about sometime last week, that was sometime last week. So, but yes. So, CitizenCon predictions. I lost which order we did last. So I'm just going to redo it. We're just going to restart.
Kind of just been openly talking.
Which is great. Like, when I don't have to direct things, it means it's a good conversation. So we're going to go around. We're going to get first predictions, and we can keep talking in between the questions, I guess. Yes, 2 questions. So predictions, Tomato. What do you predict is going to be at CitizenCon?
Oh boy, I got a list. So like, how should I narrow it down for you? How should I filter it? I think
Maybe we
we're going to see
can-
something with server meshing.
How long's the list?
2 days long?
It's not
I
actually that
wrote
long.
down 3 categories for CitizenCon: predictions, hopes, and concerns. But maybe we like releases and hopes and
No, I want
Talking
what do you think
points.
the panels are going to be at CitizenCon?
Okay, I think we will probably get either a panel or a moment in time where they focus on UI updates.
God, I hope so.
MFDs,
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Star
yes.
Map.
Star map. Yes.
Yeah,
That's what
all
they-
that stuff has been it's a lot of stuff, like quantum drive, all of it. It's
Mhm.
stuff they've been working on. It's been in monthly reports a lot. And I was not very happy that we didn't see the star map last year at CitizenCon, but now with hindsight that we haven't seen it since, it's probably better that we didn't. We did see interior maps. We saw FPS scanning. We saw the new interaction system, and all those things have been getting polished for Squadron 42 over the last year. I think now is the time for them to show us what it will look like implemented into the PU. And
Yeah, I would
there's no
love
better
to
time.
see the mapping system because it's all coming together. Like all the maps, they're never like referenced one at the time. It's always like we're working on this map, and this map. So I'd love to see a demo of the maps working in real time instead of like we saw the interior maps. It was just that canned like scan of the Idris,
Yeah.
or I don't want to see like a demonstration of the mini map, land area, the local mini map for land, or a demonstration of the star map. I want to see like somebody walking around in the game and opens the mobile glass and there's the map.
I would like to see a demonstration with the star map of starting out at a location, seeing the map at the location you're at, going into the star map, going into another system, setting a route to that other system, to a location in that other system, and following that route through the jump point and everything, and seeing that working, and then seeing how the map, that 3D map works with traversing to that new location. That's kind of what I would hope to see with the new star map system. Outside of that, I just want a new pretty star map that actually works.
We're we're not a sophisticated group of Star Citizen people. We just
I
want
have
crap
a
to
very
work.
low bar to
give me a
satisfy
map.
me.
Yeah,
map
like-
that works.
yeah, and a quantum drive that will also work when you say I want to go there. Spooling, calculating.
Exactly.
I've decided you're not going.
Yeah, and no, do that again. False start.
Sorry, there was a squirrel. It's space. It was a space squirrel.
The other big thing I think we'll see, well, there's several big things I have, but I'm trying not to overwhelm engineering gameplay. It's almost a definite thing. Like that's a huge focus of their development right now.
Yeah, I could see at least a full playthrough of a scenario on a Hammerhead. I could see that as either as a demo or as an interactable thing for people who are there to see how it's going to work. I think it would make a lot of sense for it to be like an actual like stage demo for players to get on and try. Is to just like, here's the resource management system. We scripted this up to just like break down and stuff, and you guys will have to go repair it, and then once it's repaired, move on, have everyone else play it. But I think that'd be a really neat, interesting thing to show the resource management thing. I do think that's gonna be a massive, major part with at least one of the panels, the resource management thing.
I mean, last time they had a in-person CitizenCon, I think it was the last in-person CitizenCon, they had Theaters of War, and that was the biggest attraction there. There was always like multi-hour lines for that.
Yeah.
Nick, any other like predictions as panels we're gonna see?
I predict that maybe not a panel, but I do predict a Squadron 42 announcement of some kind and a new trailer. That's my prediction. Something to get people excited.
Answer the call.
again
Insert
for
ear
Squadron
here.
42. If they say answer the call, oh my god. No.
Did you answer the call? We can't remember.
No, I hung up years ago.
I was here in 2014. I'm like, that seems really soon, but okay. Like we're gonna do all this crazy, fantastic detail at this scale, and like it's gonna be this many hours. It's like, didn't you guys just start on that like a year ago?
But outside of that, I have a few other like smaller ones, like the new character creator. I think they might show off
Hair.
Yeah, the hair that we've still been waiting on. Then when they showed off so long ago, still haven't gotten. Like where's Twitch's hair? We're still waiting for Twitch to have her hair. Her awesome, cool hair.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like I still think I think there'll be maybe engine tech such as ray tracing, Vulkan, all that being demoed off, updates to what's going on there, and obviously economy that's going to be touched on. That might even have its own panel, but I just don't want another Tony Z discussion on it if it's not going to be implemented soon. I just don't care if it's not going to be like, and we're adding it now. If they don't have and we're adding it now, and this is what we're going to be playing very soon in the future, they keep Tony Z in the background. We don't need another repeat. That's kind of my opinion on that.
I think we are getting a lot more economy and possibly quantum really soon because the economy team got so much leeway to say to add the 3 jump point stations. I think those are kind of like keystones for the economy because they can start simulating into Stanton at least these other 3 systems.
Oh yeah, the trade route in between the systems and into Stanton.
So instead of trying to make an economy work with Stanton being a bubble, because they can't be a bubble, because they use too many resources than they actually mine within Stanton. The resources come from elsewhere. And, titanium goes to ArcCorp to build millions of engines and to ship those out, and so on and so forth. So, like, you bus in all the metals from Pyro, and you bus out the engines to Magnus because Drake's building ships over there. And you have, like, the finer resources going to Terra and some of the stuff coming from Terra. Heck, the Kazi Grazer, the space cow, came from Terra originally. So, like... They probably have some.
To eat that thing.
It's got a whole breakfast right there. Eggs and bacon. Not bacon. That's pigs. Anyway, space cow bacon.
Beef bacon.
Beef bacon. Space beef bacon.
It's just the belly. Let's go.
It's the weird egg thing. Anyway, Hope on. What do you have for predictions for CitizenCon?
I think that we're gonna hear. I think, fortunately, they're gonna talk quite a bit about the economy, but I think, by and large, it's gonna be. I think a good portion of the first day is gonna be nothing but Squadron. I think they're gonna really be Squadron frenzy, and
First day, huh?
obviously they.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know. I think that's going to be their big thing, and I think the other big things are going to be Pyro, obviously, but I think everything is going to be a little ambiguous this time, maybe because
This is CIGD.
of how they've burned themselves. I don't know. Maybe they've learned. But I think as far as dates, no, I think as far as dates, it's going to be really at a lack. But
I don't expect any hard dates on anything from CitizenCon. Maybe Windows, but I don't expect any dates.
No.
Wait, CIG is taking over Windows?
That's succinctly my point. I don't think any dates.
Like a release window, like fall or spring of 2032,
I mean, releases kind of do that whole Windows release thing where there's a good one and a bad one and a good one and a bad one. So,
but
Tradition.
yeah, I think there'll be a panel about the experimental modes in Arena Commander. Maybe not experimental modes, but all of the vast number of modes they have now. I think there'll be a panel about that and what's coming to FPS gameplay.
Oh yeah, also the bounty system, because they've been working on the bounty system for quite some time.
And it's a lot bigger than people think.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Like
Yeah.
it touches not only how you make money, but also security as a whole, who can go where without trespassing, how data works in the game. It also touches that. It requires a new mapping system. The NPCs need a really big upgrade. Like VM pieces are pretty much tied to bounty hunting system. Like it's a lot bigger than people think.
It'll
And-
also be the first new MobiGlass app in years.
Yeah.
They're introducing a tracking app with it. I think it's the first one since we got what's it called? Knickknacks.
Oh
No, yeah.
no, don't
Yeah.
talk about knickknacks.
I hate knickknacks.
This is the last good one. I don't even use knickknacks. What's the point
It's
in
not
it?
good.
Like,
It's
it's-
not.
When your
why do
ship-
I
Not
need
good.
When your ship gets yeeted out of the existence, thank you to the inventory system, I found my C2 in my dragonfly. It's
Wait, what?
They had some fun.
just like, how does like you're the inventory system? You should know that doesn't fit.
You realize that that's boys, right?
So you're saying all
Yeah,
the disappearing
it's-
ships didn't disappear? They just went into ships' inventories.
So for in the world, I wasn't able to
Yeah.
spawn it. It just said unknown in the ASOF terminal, but in knickknacks it says I could open up. I could see inside the inventory of the dragonfly, and there was a C2 in it.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
Oh
Okay.
boy! So hold on. What do you hope is
Yeah.
at CitizenCon?
Well, The only other thing that I think of that'll be there other than what's been mentioned is I think the character creation, I think they're going to focus a lot on female characters because they've mentioned that in a couple different, I can't remember if it was ISC or monthly report, but they mentioned it. I think that's actually going to be something that they talk about in that character creator. As far as hopes, I mean, I hope they announce the Spirit C1, and I hope that they tell us not just what they're working on, but I think we could use some whys. Like, I know that's kind of broad, but like a lot of times they'll bring in new features like this is gonna affect this and that, and okay. But like the economy team, for instance, we get a lot of think of all the things we could do. Why would we want to do that? Like, why would I want to sit in a ship while I quantum travel for literally almost an hour?
You
Like-
don't want to. That's the point.
Buy bigger
No
ships,
one wants to do that.
obviously.
They have to build stuff in the
Exactly.
game specifically that people don't want to do, so that other people have the gameplay reserved for them.
So,
And not only that, they are
I
trying
hope
to build a very
address that.
specific experience about like you as a person who can afford an Aurora is actually quite well off compared to the rest of humanity in the game. There may be some
Right.
richer, but most of the population don't go off planet. And so you're actually quite
Lame.
special. I know, right? You have to like make a living in like working in the sweatshops in what's it called, Hurston, or like the factories of ArtCorp, or being a college student doing maze every weekend with your friends at Babbage, because that's what
but
they
if they're
do.
so broke, how can they afford maze?
Look, you spent your money on a
Yeah.
spaceship. They spent their money on your MobiGlass.
Recreational uses.
Um,
But I do hope that they, on that note, on the economy note, I highly doubt it, but I hope they address even a little bit the disparity between costs, because right now I spent almost literally an 8-hour day today doing salvage with 3 other people in a reclaimer. And we made a good amount of money for how the game is now, but for like the actual gameplay, it's like, oh, we made almost enough to buy a wheeled vehicle. And
I mean,
I think there's But like,
Do you want to get
if you wanna
less?
no, I think
Because like
the
being able to buy a car after
the
a day's
gap
work is
between
pretty good.
no,
No.
no, no.
After
I
a day's
think
Which
I
way are
think
you
the
saying?
level of work. I think in a way, yes, we should be making less, but also the reasons for money don't exist yet.
the money
Like
sinks.
you can,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Like
mean,
there's, I
We
want to
can't even
buy all the
rent a
ships.
hangar.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like so, I was over the past like few days. I've actually heard a lot about a lot of different things that money sinks. Paul was just saying on his stream earlier that medical things, like when you wake up in a med bed, there'll be a cost. So anytime you go to a med station, there'll be a cost. You get with your ship, it says you get this hangar, but if you want a long stay anywhere else, your room and hangar are going to cost you. Do you want to buy cargo? It's going to cost you. You want to run anything else? It's going to cost you. Your bullets are going to cost you. Like everything costs you. That LTI you have, if you want to save your upgraded weapons, your paint, your cargo, you're going to have to spend more on your ship insurance. If you are a dogfighter, that LTI basic insurance is not going to cover your dogfighting costs. If you like exceed a certain level, they're going to say, well, it's going to take longer because we can tell you're doing some reckless behavior. So that LTI means almost nothing. There'll be additional cost to that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's
Then
also
what happens if those costs make your bank account go below zero? What does the game do for those people?
I
That's
And-
think to
don't-
navigate the ability to not get sued by the EU, they will have it. We have reserved your ship, and you have to pay this like release fee in game. Because they can't say you don't have access. They can't let insurance elapse and just take away your ship because the EU don't like you doing stuff like that because, sensible protections for consumers. So I think they'll just like, oh, you haven't paid your insurance, and we'll just keep getting cost until you have this like just giant. So basically, you're going to lose your ship. If like you need to find a way to keep that insurance up in game, and LTI will
pay off your debt before you can fly it.
yeah, and that it's gonna be great. And we don't even have like a lot of the luxury stuff, like the apartments, the furniture, the extra clothes, like the
Being able to have like a luxury apartment
Yeah.
or a house
Mhm.
or a homestead, and then having to pay like a rental fee,
yep.
even if it was like a real life 1 million alpha UEC monthly fee of like you want this apartment for the next like month in game, pay 1 million alpha UEC and you'll have access to amenities and other
Yeah.
features that the apartments and homesteads could have.
I'd
like
love
that's
to.
a good money sink.
I love the loop that I just
or
thought
even
of.
special areas.
Yeah, I like somebody buys like just got in the game, got like a little bit done, bought a just giant luxury apartment, puts all his stuff in there. It's like running around like a high roller, and he just like only had enough to buy the apartment. The bill comes due, and he like has to like sad walk back to Lost and Found where they put all his junk after they threw it out of his apartment.
Yep. Sad walk to everything being stored in his hangar again.
It's like
Or like I think there'll be 2 special areas would be nice, like how they have. I think you can, as a subscriber, you can go to a special place in the spaceports. I don't know if that's currently functioning.
I think it's at
but-
Orison specifically. Is the Million Mile High Club? There's the chairman
Yeah.
in ArtCorp,
Yeah.
ArtCorp, I believe.
The Million Mile
But
Club
that's
is
for
also an ArtCorp, I think.
IRL money, right?
One's in one place,
So,
the other's in the other place. I know there's Million Mile High Club and Chairman's Club.
yeah, it'd be nice to see more in-game stuff like that.
For sure.
So you pay to have access to a special area. Also, customization of anything.
Anything. The 300i app that they made for the 300i, like, yeah, this is going to be the new
Like,
thing we're
shoot,
going to do.
Let me at
And
least
never did it again.
change the
Yeah, that was
running
definitely a
lights.
test.
Let me change the running lights on my ship. Something.
Nick,
Yeah, they're not gonna let you
hopes.
do that. I don't know. That's
No.
because that'll mess with lighting and graphics and
Yeah.
yeah.
They have said interior color,
hopefully-
but
There's a hopium. Vulcan will make this so much easier.
Yeah, there's
easy-
something
yeah.
else that like I really would hope to see at CitizenCon is like the next step for them in terms of rendering, because Gen 12 is coming to a final release sort of area. We know they've got a prototype for ray tracing going on. They're talking about DLSS.
And what have they
rendering
not
is-
talked about? Which they have previously talked about?
And also Vulkan, the new FSR 3 technology. If they added like the FSR technology to it, if they're going to be adding that to that'd be sick.
There was no Gen 11. Gen 12 is a completely. It's not like DX 11. It's
Gen 11.9.
Oh,
It was
geez.
DirectX 12. It was DirectX, then Gen 12, which is I'm so confused about Gen 12 because it's not DirectX 12. It's
No.
just Gen 12. It's
They-
like their own.
It's kind of like
rendering
calling their
thing.
new app Selin. It means nothing. There is no reason why they called it 12 over
Other
13.
than the fact that DirectX
321.
was on 11 when they named it.
Yeah. So they had mentioned last time they had talked about Gen 12 and Vulkan on the ISCs after the last CitizenCon. I think it was the last CitizenCon where they actually had the whole panel about Gen 12. Is VR. And they have said they have somebody working, or at least monitoring, waiting for Vulkan to finish to work on VR.
Oh, I know Sylvan's going to.
And
Sylvan's
One
gotta be
guy,
there.
he works in a closet in the back office.
that's all technically you need. They already have solutions or have had solutions for VR in the past. Now that they own the entire render pipeline, it's not a big leap to VR. Also, Fovea
No, it's
rendering, please. Like,
I just want to.
I'm
I
interested to see
just
how
want
they
night
do
vision.
VR.
I just want night vision.
I don't
I'm a
see
simple
VR.
man.
I don't see VR
I-
coming in until after Squadron 42 is released. I just don't. VR is a whole can of worms, and the locomotion of VR. There's so much about VR that they need to work on implementing. I think the game is nicely set up for VR, with how physicalized everything is. Like, setting up an interact button on your controller to, because I have a Quest 2. I'm very familiar with VR. I'm like, and I feel like if they set it up, the game is nice to set up to just set up a hand controller to work and interact with the game world right now. Like, we pick up our boxes with our hands. Okay, we'll just have the hand controllers connect with our character arms and we're good. We can pick up boxes and pick up guns, strip ammo out, reload them. I mean, it's not too far out of the way to get that stuff implemented. It's just, how do you make it all work seamlessly with people who are playing on PC as well? Like most VR games, locomotion is a massive issue. You don't want players to get motion sick within 5 minutes. I mean, unless you do. But
I
a lot
do.
of players, a lot of I don't.
well, no, I want
But-
other people to, because
Right.
so my roulette in motion sick with VR just got like, apparently I put all of my stats in it. The first time I was actually able to play VR, it was at a Best Buy. They were doing a demo with, I think, 3 different games. There was a Batman Arkham game, some other more of a kid type game, and then there was Eve Valkyrie, which was it's a fighter pilot sim. And I'm like, I want to try the fighter pilot, obviously. And the guy's like, okay, hold on. This one makes people really sick. Are you sure you want to do this? I'm like, it's speed. Yes. And I got it. I'm like, I feel nothing. What do you mean? People can't do this?
Yeah, some people are lucky like you, where they don't get the inertia of their gut.
Mhm.
I'm not moving, but I see movement,
only-
and I should feel movement.
Yeah, the only
And
time
now I
I've made
don't get it.
myself sick in VR is when I played Portal VR. It was a deal, not DLC. It was a fan made kind of story little mode.
Oh, yeah, that would
And
be bomb.
I'm gonna call it too good at Portal for it, because I don't do things in a sensical direction, like step 1, step 2, step 3. So I'll like run over to a box, be like portaling behind me, jumping over there, and so I'll be like, nowhere am I looking where I'm going. So I'm just moving with the controllers because I'm used to portaling, and so making so much jumping around, and I wasn't walking around. It was all jump cuts.
You're flailing around and like, that's new.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think to bring it back to Star Citizen, I do think Star Citizen right now with how interactable it is in a good space to be set up for VR. I just don't see it being implemented soon.
Not soon, but at some
No.
point.
Some point, yes, it's in a good spot for them to just set up the hand controllers and make it be interactable for VR.
Yeah.
It's just when not soon. No, I would not expect that at this CitizenCon at all. If it is, that'd be a big surprise.
Yeah.
Be a nice surprise. I can't wait. It's one of the reasons I got VR is Star Citizen. Because they're like, hey, VR.
Yeah, my first VR headset was the Dev Kit 2 for the
Oof.
Oculus.
I was not that wealthy back then.
Neither was I. I was just a college kid and I spent my college money on it.
So I first got
Plus 2 extra weeks of ramen.
So
and then they made they released a consumer version a year, like 8 months a year
Yep.
after I got it, and it's just like it's not compatible anymore. I'm like, $600 out the drain.
Yay, first adopter.
Yep. So I did almost the exact same thing with the Vive. My first one was the HTC Vive. 4 months after, it dropped half of the price. I bought it at $800. It was now $400.
I got lucky with the MetaQuest 2 because I got that just before they did the $100 increase of the price for the Quest 2.
Nice.
So I'm like, ooh, like a month before, I'm like, ooh, I dodged a bullet on that one.
Yes, this is my current. The HP G2. It is. The headset is amazing. The controllers, the worst I've ever seen.
I'm very interested in VR. I think there are a couple things I'd like to see improve before I get it. The field of view and the resolution.
That's always been.
Yeah, like
That's always been my biggest thing is the field of view.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those things. It's like the things I need to see happen for me to get VR. Field of view needs to be better, resolution needs to be better, and Star Citizen needs to have official support. Once so I will definitely use VR at some point, and I know I'm going to use it with Star Citizen. I am with Nick here. I don't expect to see it anytime soon. I know that Sylvan, he's one of the guys on the engine team. He works on the rendering engine. He's done a lot of the stuff with Vulkan. He's gonna get VR into the game. Like
if CIG won't pay him to do, he'll do it on the weekends. Like
yeah, he will do it himself at some point if they don't make him. But
he'll be
I don't
the
think it's happening
reason
soon.
that Star Citizen gets official mod support.
Yeah.
Oh,
Boy, it's in the original Kickstarter.
It is. VR support is in the original
And
Kickstarter.
mods for it.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of things in the original Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how many amendments the Constitution of the United States has?
We're not going to get into any of that. Any more hopes?
foundations based on the original Kickstarter? They're gonna be like the secret society that keeps everything going
Yeah.
Oh
as
man.
he saw fit.
Oh my gosh. I can so
As
imagine.
Chris Roberts saw.
I can definitely imagine some, probably from Reddit devs, like seeing the version 1 of Star Citizen and being, this is not the true prophecy of Chris Roberts, and starting to rebuild, do a whole stupid Skyblivion rebuild of Star Citizen, but by the letter to the original Kickstarter.
Oh god.
Like even like trying to pull
This
some of the
one
old
is
3D
hard enough.
models.
This
Well,
one is
the
hard
Kickstarter had a lot of stuff, but it didn't have fully procedural or fully realized planets. So, like we keep seeing with other games, you can get really close to Star Citizen. What feature do you not want? And it gets really easy to build.
Yep, like I look at Starfield and I think this would have been Star Citizen this would have been Squadron 42 or Star Citizen if they didn't do all the milestones. Like that would have been like a default. Like the combat would have been what we have more or less now, actual good action like combat. But like the way Star Citizen and Squadron 42 was released on was announced on Kickstarter, it was pretty much Starfield. Like loading into planets, loading in onto ground zones, like that was what it was going to be like, just with much better combat.
Yeah.
Yep.
And honestly, my favorite thing about Star Citizen probably is the potential it has, even if we're not there.
Yep, join
But
us.
like that's yeah.
Pat,
And
good.
I know a lot
Get
of
in the
people talk
back.
about like that, but that's like I appreciate that they're reaching for it. If they never get it, I have gotten my $45 of gameplay, and that's fine. But if they achieve it, then like, dang.
How
So
much is that DLC then again?
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm in it to see where they go, but yeah, I'm glad Starfield came out so people can get that perspective.
Yeah, and
Because I
that's a
think
That
lot
is
of people
fair.
have been saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think if we had gotten Starfield, people have been I think if we had gotten Starfield, 7 or 8 years ago when they thought they were going to release or whatever,
Mhm.
then I think Star Citizen wouldn't even be in the conversation right now.
Yeah, Starfield would have seemed a lot more impressive 6 years ago
Yeah.
Yeah.
because Andromeda was trying to do the same thing and did not nearly as good as that. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
I think interestingly enough, expectations have changed for space games, even though space games have really not been anywhere like since
I mean,
Bethesda made their last big RPG. How many big RPGs have we had in space for people to be like, oh, look at this old space game? They can't meet up with that. We had Andromeda and Outer Worlds. Like what else?
Yeah.
So it's like it's weird how much the
yeah, like
expectations
the
are
last
high
like
for
space
Starfield.
RPG we had was basically Prey.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
a
I'd call
good
that more of
thing.
an immersive sim.
Yeah, that wasn't really more like
It
it was
wasn't-
in space, but it didn't feel spacey.
Because it was like on an Art Deco stage. Well, there was a slight exterior bit, but like
you're just around a station in space. You EVA a bit, but there was nothing being like this is a space RPG sandbox thing that you can just go do whatever you want.
and this is why the
Yeah.
entire Kickstarter for Star Citizen was sci-fi games and PC gaming is back. Like because we don't
Yeah.
get a whole lot of
And-
either of those very much.
Yeah.
Even Starfield was built for the Xbox. So
Yeah.
Amanda, do you
So-
think
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you think that the expectations have been affected mostly by movies, or do you think that the games that we have had, Star Citizen being one of them, have molded the expectation a little bit around that?
Yeah, I think I mean, I say like there's no space games to have gotten people to raise their expectations, but obviously we've had a lot of really good games otherwise. Like
Mhm.
we've had some really good RPGs, especially with Baldur's Gate 3 coming out.
Oh yeah,
the
Baldur's
same
Gate
month.
3 is like
That's like pinnacle RPG. So
that
then,
is
yeah,
perfection on
this-
a platter. That you don't get better than Baldur's Gate 3 like in this day and age. Like they set the bar. You're not going to get better. That's what perfection is. If you want to achieve perfection, you reach for that. That's what you reach for. But outside of that, I would say there's been more games that have been molding what we kind of come to expect and want through negativity than positivity. And kind of being like, we don't want to see that. Let's not have that. Let's not do that. And mold something that's more like this. And I
talking
think
about Cyberpunk. He's subtweeting by Cyberpunk right now.
Well, Cyberpunk.
I mean,
no
if he
Man's
was, would he be wrong?
Cyberpunk. Not just Cyberpunk, but No Man's Sky. I mean, they did a big turnaround, but like No Man's Sky, Elite Dangerous, they've all done things in ways that were like, oh, this is gonna be cool for a space game, and then we get into it, it's like, oh, this
again, Andromeda. Yeah. There's a lot there we could continue talking on.
There's a lot there for when you cut out the bad things that have happened in the
Like
past
even
with
even
space
just like
games.
talking about the space game genre expectations and somebody said long development times. It's like that's an entire long development times is a whole conversation. Like if nobody tries to do what Star Citizen done, no one will get to the level of time it's going to take for Star Citizen to take. That's the takeaway. Like Starfield could have been Star Citizen had they spent the time that Star Citizen is going to take to be Star Citizen.
It's also interesting too with newer modern like game dev technologies like such as Unreal Engine 5. Unreal Engine 5 now supports game spaces the size of Star Citizen now. Any game developer with Unreal Engine 5 can go make a game world the size of Star Citizen.
I'm not
right
going to
now.
mention what we mentioned in the pre-show game that closely mirrors Star Citizen.
Star Atlas?
I said I wasn't going to mention it.
Hey, there it is.
Apparently, if you talk
I-
negatively about it, the one of the people will strike your video.
I'm skeptical of it just based on the crypto side of things.
Yeah.
But from the technology standpoint, I think they are a group of devs who do want to make a good game and do want to make make a good space game in Unreal Engine 5. I think the crypto side of things is very icky and turning a lot of people away from it. So that is one where I am not gonna actively look at, but it's one where I hope they do succeed. I would like to see just a cool space game. If they make a good space game and it's cool, then I'll congratulate them. But until then, I'm iffy about the crypto and I'm staying away from it.
Yeah,
That's
I think that's where most of us are.
That's where I am with Starfield. Like, it's not a game that changed the world. It didn't blow everybody away, but it's like a solid space game in a genre that we don't have many solid space games. And I think it's filling out the catalog we need. You've got Hard Space Shipbreaker for like that really good industrial feel. You've got something like Star Citizen or Elite Dangerous for more in-depth space sim. Now you have something alongside Outer Worlds that's kind of like that sit back and get a single player experience, which could also go alongside Star Atlas, which might end up being something like Star Citizen. Who knows? But the idea that like Starfield shouldn't exist because it wasn't a blowaway success or a 10 out of 10 has been kind of bumming me out, because people need to realize how important it is for like a game like that to exist in the genre it's in.
Yeah, the fact that Starfield reached as high as it did for being a space genre game. Space games are pretty niche.
It broke a lot of barriers.
And it's like that's getting a lot of people into space games. That's getting a lot of new generations into space games. That's getting a lot of new teenagers and new kids. You know, parents of Star Citizens right now, like that's the future generation who might want a good space game, and it's interesting to think about it. Like,
it's also
that's
really
easy.
It's a really nice easy game. It's not Star Citizen, the Dark Souls of space, and that's not like all the design docs of Star Citizen in like the first 3 years like to mention Dark Souls. So I'm not just pulling this out of nowhere. They like to mention Dark Souls when talking about design in Star Citizen. Starfield is very easy, and that's one of the reasons I have a problem with finishing it, is because it's like I just took out an entire outpost of like 50 guys, and I ate a sandwich.
And I ate a sandwich.
It's just like sure.
It's sort of like, but Starfield also plays into like that power fantasy of you are a powerful person in this thing, maybe not influential on how to control things, but maybe you're a powerhouse and like a killer, like
mass murderer. I mean, it follows the action RPG kind of like, you're this plucky guy who's out to save the world, mows down like 50 guys.
Yeah.
I love when people objectively look at RPGs, and that one came from Uncharted. Like, you're this plucky adventurer just out to find some treasure, and there's like 50 guys in front of you, and just without a thought, just absolutely shoot first. Don't ask questions.
It's like, they're near my treasure. I should kill them so they don't get my treasure.
It's like, But yeah, it's nice. Okay, so how much we got? We got about 15 minutes left. Does anyone have any more hopes they'd like to go over for CitizenCon? So no, I didn't call everyone out. So, all right.
Let me go back to my list here.
Okay.
Let me.
Mayo coming at us with a list.
Crafting gameplay would be a huge win if they could show that off.
Okay, now crafting one is dear to me. I've played Minecraft far more. I wish that the back end for Minecraft had a tracker to which it tracked all of my time I've spent. I'd love to see how many thousands, tens of thousands of hours I have in Minecraft because I love crafting. And it's also very close to a feature in Star Citizen that I don't really want much other. Well, no, I actually want it in a lot. Cooking. Anyway, cooking. I really like cooking in a lot of games, especially in sandbox games. And again, bringing it back to Minecraft, I absolutely love getting the mods with like hundreds of new cooking things. And there's an add-on to where you can actually like go through the mechanics of like you have to boil something in a pot on a stove. You have to cut it with a knife instead of just doing it all in the crafting menu. And crafting and cooking in Star Citizen is one of those things I'm super excited to see. I want CIG to say you have to drop a piece of meat in a pan on a stove and cook it.
No.
We have stoves.
No.
Okay, for those who
No,
don't want to do
absolutely
this,
The
not.
animal, you got to
I
skin the animal. You got to get all the gross stuff out.
I'm gonna
Make sure
skin
none of that
myself.
poop gets in the
I'm gonna skin
pan.
myself if I
I
have to do that.
I am okay with that. Just let me buy my food from the store.
oh, absolutely. Like you can go to restaurants. They've already said there's going to be low scale, high scale restaurants in the building interior video, and there's also going to be the microwavable meals. Like we have
I'm
MREs
going to
and
be
we
the
have
number
those.
one.
I'm a microwavable person meal in real life. I don't want to be a 5-star chef in a video game. Just,
Microwave my space cow.
just
But-
microwave the space cow.
Absolutely.
Make it medium rare and let's go.
Absolutely, I think that they should never
If
force
I have
you.
to do that. If they did, I would be the number one user of regeneration because I would just let myself starve to death.
Well, you have like the tiers. We'll always have the food we have now. The very basic energy bar
I don't even
MREs.
eat. I just drink Coors all day long.
Exactly.
If they
and
made
then
it,
and then we
if
have
they made
like the microwave meals, like there's like the Spy Kids microwave meals where you put something in the microwave and it just like pops up to a turkey dinner. But
the rehydrator from Back to the Future.
yeah. And we also have a full industrial kitchen in the 890. Somebody wants to be a 5-star chef in this game. Paul wants to be the best bartender in the game. Somebody wants this niche. I want to be able to wake up in my apartment and make some eggs and bacon. Like, come on.
I think it would be neat if they implemented it with the actor status effects,
Mhm.
so that you could get maybe buffs to stamina and buffs to that based on how well it's cooked and how fresh it is and interesting like that. So if they went around the roots of that and you actually have like a chef on your ship and it actually prepped meals before like a big event, then I think it'd be really cool. But like I think it should stay default of like just go buy a burrito, just go buy a drink. But if you have someone actually prep the food for you, that you can get some like maybe an hour long buff to your dehydration, so you can go out longer, much longer than if you just bought something right before becoming dehydrated and hungry again.
I think actually for events it actually makes a lot of sense because like you get someone to prepare meals for who is ever doing the event, whether it be racing or just a party on an 890. It would actually help those running and attending the event not have to, I've been here for an hour, I need to go drink some water or cruise or whatever. So there's less downtime. It actually gives this wider benefit to it.
Yeah, you eat a prepared meal that's fresh and hot and prepared well without any mess ups from the chef. Then it's just like, I'm not dehydrated and I can still run. My stamina is actually like draining at a bit of slower rate now. I think that would be good.
And then the opposite effect when you overcook the turkey.
Yeah.
The difference
opposite effect is when it's burnt and now you're getting dehydrated really quickly. Yeah.
You are
difficulty-
disgusted with the food.
What I see with that though is that like they have to make it has to be good enough to be interesting and convincing for that kind of gameplay, but it also kind of like how much effort can they put into it if a lot of the player base isn't actually going to use it, if it's like this really niche kind of game system. There's a balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that could
balance. Yeah.
add really well to like personal transport gameplay. Like we're gonna have the E1 and maybe someday if they don't retcon it, the Genesis Starliner.
Well, they don't
Where
retcon
we're just gonna be-
ships. we'll get it. Just what it will look like is
Not
the question.
really.
Yeah.
I mean, but you know what I mean. But that would add some interesting gameplay where you have to now prepare meals,
For
and
your
like
VIP
your
guests. Yeah.
your guests can maybe they tip better if you give them high quality food versus store bought or something like that.
And some
That's-
people
that-
will want more high quality.
See, now I could
Yeah.
totally gamify
People are
that.
snobby.
You just
Yeah, it's just like-
go to the high class restaurant at the landing zone before you lift off, buy a whole bunch of meals, and then pack them onto the thing. They would say, I want this tier of meal. Just like, here you go.
Yeah, or then you just
Yeah,
give
that's
them
a
a
great way to get a
burrito,
tip.
and it's just like, ugh, you're not.
Right?
No,
You've
you're just.
never worked in the
I'm not
service
giving a tip to
industry.
you.
Yeah,
I just
be
got
like,
a
sorry.
prepackaged cold burrito. Ugh.
Yeah, did you buy
Yep.
this 800 million kilometers back that way?
But
Yep.
I definitely hope they talk about crafting, specifically they screwed up putting the, like, not thinking about it and putting the multi-tool thing on the, is it both the Reclaimer and the
The vulture.
Vulture? Like, I agree
Yeah.
they need to put that in there because you can't build helmets, but everyone still leaves port without a helmet when, like, hey, I'm gonna like walk around in normal clothes. Oh, I took my ship that now I'm at a station, my helmets aren't here. So like that
Yeah.
removing that with multi-tools and having to move the boxes out from in front of the stations, I get it. But I really hope they'd say like, hey, this was very shoehorned in, and there's a much deeper crafting system that we have in mind. And even if it's
honestly,
good.
I honestly wouldn't be upset if it was pretty much what we have, just more expansive. And maybe it's not all done with just RMC, but selecting something to be crafted from a list is totally fine in my book. I
Like
don't-
having the resources into the inventory, going to the food
Yeah.
processor or the manufacturing thing, the 3D printer on the
Yeah.
Carrack, just going to one of those. And as long as you have the resources in the inventory, it can manufacture it. I'm okay with
Yeah.
that kind of inventory as well. Just the cooking, I would like to see a steak flip.
In VR.
In VR. Hiya! Wow! Take that! Throw the pen!
That's what we need. We need a skillet melee weapon. So
we need a hover quad handlebar melee weapon. That's what
yeah,
need.
we do. So
They
we-
already
we've-
are a melee weapon.
we've talked about predictions, and we've talked about what above prediction, what we hope. What concerns do we have for CitizenCon? We'll start back with Tomato for this one.
That we don't get a definitive update on server meshing would be the biggest concern, I think.
Makes sense.
Like, I think there should be some very clear communication on what's next for that. And, like, they don't have to give us a timeline, but all the steps that they foresee right now. I mean, we know replication layers needs to be separated. We know static server meshing needs to happen. We know dynamic server meshing needs to happen, but what are the, like, little things? What are our object container streamings and our bind cullings that have to happen for those things to be possible? That, I think,
Yeah.
would be the most important thing, in my opinion.
Don't just skim it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as done as people are going to, like, this is the server meshing panel that we've seen for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
I think keeping us up to date is actually pretty important.
We should get a yearly update on it, right?
Yeah.
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 It is important. I
No.
think economy.
We shouldn't need another
Yeah,
yearly update.
Yeah, well,
But
Yeah, that's a very valid concern, and the same concern I share with is even up until before 321, they're very silent on what was going on with server meshing through it, and since like that last little video they did at the beginning of the year to say, hey, we all got together, we all discussed server meshing, let's go tackle this, and then nothing after that, no part 2. It was kind of, they were very silent on server meshing. So I'm going into CitizenCon kind of concerned with the state of where they are with server meshing, because it's just like, if they're not say they're just right now they're stuck on getting this the 321 splitting up the layers of it. If they're struggling with it behind the scenes, and it's kind of blocking up people from being able to work on getting server meshing ready for later this year, how much are they going to be able to and willing to talk about that at CitizenCon if there are problems right now that they can't foresee being solved in the near in a quick fashion? It's kind of concerning. It is a very valid concern that maybe there might not be a substantial update on server meshing, and it might be a big concern for the community if there is none at the end of it.
Yeah, they've definitely shown a lack, to put it lightly, in the willingness to communicate when things aren't going well.
Unless it's the Centaur
They
AI.
just don't. They just don't communicate
Yeah.
things aren't well. They'll do a postmortem,
So
but they won't say this is bad.
They
and
like
even
to
the postmortem, they didn't really say we failed. They said we were surprised.
they like to let us know after they found a solution to
Mhm.
the problem.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm
Yeah.
thinking now that they've started to talk about these issues that they're having with the database, it must be because they were dealing for such a long time with actually nailing down what it actually was that was the problem.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
guessing they didn't know over the summer, but I'm also giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Remember iCache?
Yeah.
Yes, we will remember iCache. iCache was
Yeah.
a thing that came,
iCache.
and we didn't know till they were done with the entity layer that
Yep.
iCache completely failed its job because they ran into the same problem they're having with the entity graph. Thank you. Except the iCache was never going to. iCache was based on SQL or spreadsheet something or other. I forget what the language was, but basically it was spreadsheets for items. Graph is
Squeal.
possibly.
Yeah.
But the Antigraph is a new entire way of contextualizing the data. And that's the difference, is they switched to a notably faster way of getting data in and out of the system. And even this complete tech change didn't solve the problem. So they're trying to move a ton of data in and out of this game.
Yeah.
So any other concerns
Yeah.
we got for CitizenCon?
Actually, now that you point out the data,
Entity graph data?
and the
Database.
entity graphs and the database. Now that you point that out, it is very concerning that they're having issues currently with the database that they did provide an answer for, which is supposed to be an enterprise solution. My concern is the communication they used around that, because CR put most of the blame onto the enterprise solutions and not their own implementation of their networking to read and write from that database. Because if the issue is actually on them for reading and writing too much too fast on their end, then I think that's not a fair thing to blame one side or the other. And I think that CR did a really poor job of blaming only one side instead of saying we need to investigate what's actually happening here.
Yeah.
So that seeing CR say that and then hearing that the database is in that kind of bad of a state with an enterprise solution, it has me very concerned for how they're writing things or how CR wants things done.
It's definitely not a new take because they did that with basically anytime they outsource, they basically come back to the same words, whether it be Ilphonic. What was the other ones they done? Crytek.
Turbulent.
Well,
Technically.
Turbulence now them. They didn't get a chance to go sour.
Yeah, now they
And
own,
also-
now they own Turbulent.
And also they
We just
kind
bought
of
them because
they kind of bit them once for the Matrix, the ship Matrix never being up to date. But that was for so many different
is
reasons.
it up to date now?
No. But there's a reason.
The-
They actively said, "Hey, we're not really looking at updating this. When a new ship shows up, we'll put it on it." But they're not updating it
Why didn't they
because
just say that before?
there wasn't once there was like, "Yeah, we're gonna keep this updated every week. We're gonna update this matrix. It's always gonna be up to date." They even
because
said once they were gonna.
overpromised.
Yeah.
Here's my little tinfoil hat. They're not saying that now because it would be saying our team
Yeah.
is
exactly.
not doing.
Yeah. No.
So they can't say that. So now that's not our focus.
Yeah. But
it,
in all
before they bought
honesty,
Turbulent, this other team's not doing their job.
in all honesty, though, I also have another tinfoil hat about the roadmap being updated at CitizenCon, because it's run out basically.
I think I said this in the podcast chat that you were in yesterday with Paul, but or no, it was the Pathfinder one with Tree.
Yeah.
I said this in the chat, but yeah, I think that there's a lot of things being held back from being on the roadmap.
Like a lot of stuff we know about.
And it's just I think once Jake gets back from CitizenCon, can sit down and be like, okay, roadmap time. I think there's going to be a lot of things changing
Yeah.
on the roadmap, on the progress tracker, all that. I think there's going to be a whole big, massive change to it after CitizenCon. Little tinfoil hat, but I think it's not as big of a tinfoil hat as it is,
Yeah.
as it makes it out to be.
Yeah.
I think maybe end of January, early February, we might see that update. I don't know about after CitizenCon, but
Yeah.
it is like this. The roadmap has just
Technically, that is after
Soured a
CitizenCon.
bit.
we got 3.21 PTU before it showed up on the roadmap.
Yep.
That was
What's
so confusing. That's the first time that's ever happened. It's just
what's going on?
Yeah, that
Well-
was very shocking.
I do have a
Good.
sorry. I do have a concern that is from a business aspect, it's kind of player averse. This year has been a huge boost in players, and I'm concerned that they're going to try and get money off of the new players only through ship sales. I'm not saying they need to start selling us a bunch of other stuff, but I think if that's their primary, that's how they think, that's how we need to make money continually, as they have in the past, I think we're going to get to a point where it's not sustainable anymore, if we haven't already.
So
It's
there's
been
two problems with
sustainable for
that.
11 years.
There's two problems with that. One, they have
Well, we've
shown
been
their
growing for
initiative.
11 years.
They've shown their initiative to stop selling ships. There are more and more ships straight to flyable every year. There are 6 ships not on the roadmap. And if we know the name of the ship, it will show up on the roadmap. And the second problem with them stop selling ships is they tried to go equipment, which made super amounts of sense to me. A lot of people really, really, really hated that they tried to sell equipment.
I hated it.
I bought
hated it.
every
I
single
hated
one.
Just make it.
I
You
think-
bought it for a video, but
I
just
did
make it
not.
so you can't lose IRL money items.
I hate that.
Make it so
I
you
hate
don't
that
claim
so
it.
much.
It's not that simple. I think the problem is they're selling the items themselves and not a skin. I think that's where my issue lies. If they made it so that it could be a paint and be applied to an armor set, and then if you steal it and you're not a subscriber and you don't own that, then it fades away. And if you own it, you can reapply it. I think that'd be great. But I think the way that they are selling items themselves, just straight up buy the item, whatever, I'm not okay with that.
That actually
And
makes a
I'll never
lot of
be
sense
okay
to
with
me.
that.
Agreed. It's messy.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
some point, it just makes so much because there's also the whole allowing us to customize with paint and stuff, and just it would have been so much easier if the things that they sold were specific designs so that we could still paint,
Mhm.
and they didn't have to also price wall the paints. So your solution, I think, would have been better for all parties. I don't know why they went around it this way.
I
I'm
think.
sorry, I'm always a game dev and I think of good ideas.
They're
Mm.
also game devs, and
They're
They
thinking-
think of
I'll
good
leave that
ideas.
one.
That's, who
They
thought
think
of
of-
this one?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
who thought of this one and who approved it? That's kind of my thing. I mean,
I think because
I
of when
did-
it came in, I think it
I-
was more of a for the time, like, oh, we'll just put this kind of like the 300i editor thing. Oh, we'll just put this in and we'll get back to it later. I think that's what the paint system
so bad,
originally
though.
was, and then it just didn't. It was the what is it? What's the temporary solutions last the longest kind of thing?
They need to be working on permanent solutions.
Yeah.
And sooner than later, they can't be adding these temporary ones 10 years down the road. I mean, one thing I will say about the paint system is that I don't like where they're going with items and paints currently, especially when you talk about hex codes and stuff. I think the direction Star Citizen and CIG has been extremely not I want to say desperate for financials. That's kind of where I see it, because we have in-game paint shops that you can go to ship shops and buy paints at, but they haven't added any new ship paints to the in-game paint shops and ship shops since the implementation. But they have a lot of new ship skins that you can buy with real money.
It's also weird that there are ships without paint still. Like,
a lot of the ships are the older ones that need a full rework with the material systems and be brought over to the gold standard of materials to be able to get that.
But doesn't the Arrow
it's definitely
have that?
a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it's definitely a strange one. I really hope they do rework that, and maybe they need Turbulent's help for that, which means it's behind server meshing, like everything else Turbulent works on. Server meshing is their main job right now.
I would trust Turbulent to do it though. Like, Turbulent to me is like their ace in their sleeve. Like that's their new ace.
I mean, it's been their ace since we got Montreal location team. Like every time they touch something, original Javelin outpost, like it's been gold. It's been absolutely gold. Just kind of a final thought to end us on, like 4.0 is not another patch in the road. It is the last major update. We very probably will be on 4.0 something, 4 point something until beta. If they even call beta 5. If they don't say another version is beta now, then we'll be on 4.0 possibly till release. And that's why a lot of stuff is just locked behind 4.0. And that's why they're putting so much resources behind 4.0. And to make 4.0 a big patch is because we're going to be here a while. So waiting one more year for the next 5 years is not all that bad. So
if you wait till it's perfect, it'll never happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree that 4.0 is going to be the final patch before beta, like the branch cycle. Like I don't know if it's going to go along as 4.20, but as soon as that rolls over, it's going to roll over to beta. And then
can you imagine how many systems we'll have by 4.20?
5.
If we get 4 a year,
they skipped from 419 to 421.
That'd be 5 years down the line. I think we'd probably
5
have
years,
at least 7 or 8 systems.
Yeah, well,
it really depends on their missions. I think it depends on their missions, because they could have 5 systems pretty easily in the next 2 years.
Especially once they get meshing and all of that, settled, because especially with Turbulent working, they can pump out assets and stations and whatnot that they need. It's just a matter of not being backed up with all of this, have to do this first.
Yeah.
One thing I know is that when the Montreal team first started and they were doing the hospitals, they had the hospitals done before Chris Roberts even showed up to see like a pitch.
Dang.
Yeah. And do you want to ask how I know that? Let me just
opens his door, Montreal Studios right there.
This is a signed Chris Roberts poster from the Montreal team of the Grimhex Hospitals. Benoit told me himself.
Dang. Okay, well, I know who now my insider to the Montreal team is. Holy crap. Well, we are at
Nice.
2 hours, everyone. It has been amazing. I'm going to have each of you run through where they can find you stuff one more time, and we'll close out. So, Hoban, where can they find you?
At Washborn on YouTube and in the verse.
And mostly behind a desk in the No Forge Industries organization. Nick.
Yes.
Yeah, they can find me at Twitch TV/Hey It's Nick, and as well as on YouTube.
Space Tomato.
I am on all the things as Space Tomato. I got a couple YouTube channels, Twitch, Twitter, things, Google. Just Google me, Google Space Tomato. You'll find the stuff.
It's a very
Easiest way to
unique
do it.
name.
Yeah.
Thank you, all of my esteemed guests, for coming on this week. Nick, thank you so much for being the last edition. I was absolutely pulling my hair out trying to find somebody that would I added literally the entire CC Discord, and nobody said anything.
Yeah, you DM'd me yesterday. I was just like, yeah.
Thank you, everyone. We will be back for the next episode of Road to CitizenCon next week, our final episode. And then on the 21st, that's a Saturday, not a Sunday, the 21st, we will be starting up a 48-hour CitizenCon coverage with both Ender, Shadowwalker, and Red J, who is also on YouTube. So go check all of these people out. Go check those guys out, and come back next week for much more discussion on the roundtable. And I'm going to do not that. I was supposed to be in studio mode. I'm supposed to be doing that. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Bye, everyone. And as always, be kind.
Go on.